regular listeners of This Life of Mine will know that really on the show, often we talk about great moments in people's lives, whether that's great memories or people that they love or songs or films. But you know, and I know that life isn't always full of just great moments. And we all have times when everything just kind of piles up, whether that's work or family, friendships, relationships, whatever it might be. And you think I might need to speak to somebody. I've had one of those stretches fairly recently, actually. And I'm away from home at the moment. I'm working in New York, and I tried to find a therapist online. And honestly, it was hopeless. Every therapist I found, they were either fully booked or they were out of network or they were charging prices, which made me think, sorry, does this come with a yacht? And I remember thinking it really shouldn't be this hard. Affordable, accessible mental health care shouldn't be something that's out of reach, but too often it is. And look, if we use insurance for physical health, why shouldn't our mental health get the same treatment? And that's exactly why I love what Ruler is doing. Here's the deal with Ruler. Most online therapy platforms don't work with insurance at all, which means you'll be stuck paying out of pocket or signing up for some incredibly expensive monthly subscription. But Ruler does it differently. They partner with over 100 insurance plans, which means the average copay is just $15 a session. And Ruler doesn't just match you with the first available therapist. They actually take the time to understand your goals, and then they will give you a curated list of therapists who are in network and genuinely aligned with what it is that you need. So if you go to ruler.com/lifeofmine, you can get started today. That's RULA.com/lifeofmine for quality therapy that is covered by insurance. There are no wait lists, no endless emails. Ruler helps you find someone who is available as soon as tomorrow. Because finding the right therapist, well, that could be life-changing. Thousands of people are already using Ruler to get affordable, high-quality therapy that is actually covered by insurance. So if you visit ruler.com/lifeofmine, you can get started straight away. And after you sign up, they're going to ask you how you heard about them. And it would be great if you could support our show and let them know that we sent you. That's RULA.com/lifeofmine. You deserve mental health care that works with you, not against your budget.
Lemonada.
Hey, just a quick message before we get started. You can now listen to every episode of Fail Better ad-free with Lemonada Premium on Apple Podcasts. You'll also get ad-free access to and exclusive bonus content from shows like Wiser Than Me with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, the Sarah Silverman podcast, and so many more. It's just $5.99 a month and a great way to support the work we do. Go ad-free and get bonus content when you hit subscribe on this show in Apple Podcasts. Make life suck less with fewer ads with Lemonada Premium. I'm David Duchovny, and this is Fail Better, the show where failure, not success, shapes who we are. Judd Apatow is a director, writer, and producer whose style and humor came to shape an entire generation of comedy films and TV. Judd's new book, Comedy Nerd, releases October 28th. We chat about humor, honesty, and of course a whole lot of failure. Here's our conversation. Judd, thanks for talking to me.
Happy to.
Although you once told me, you're going to regret this, you once said, I say yes to every podcast.
Even that rule I had to change because I didn't realize how many would come at you. And you don't even have to be a good guest. Everyone just needs guests desperately. But
it is a bit of a game.
Yeah.
I wanted to read something from the new book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
What's it called?
It's called Comedy Nerd, which is it's a scrapbook autobiography. So it's photos and memorabilia with little essays. And it's
well, one of the things
long.
I found interesting I didn't know about you was you claim to be a hoarder. You know, that
I
you,
do have some hoarding tendencies.
yeah. And that this book, because of all these pictures that you're using in the book, is kind of you're exfoliating in a way. You're trying to exfoliate your soul here.
Well, I had about 500,000 photos.
500,000 photos that you had taken.
Or that was just inputted at some point. And I have just saved everything since I was a kid. I have a photo in the book of my closet when I was a kid where I have all my little autographs and memorabilia and tons of pictures of the Who on the wall. And then, you know, I always say it's not hoarding if your shit's awesome. It's just having awesome shit.
Well, where do you think it comes from?
I don't know, because it started really young, of like treasuring things. And then
it's not just like a baseball card collection.
Well, in the beginning it was like, oh, I got the autographed Mets ball. And I had like a Dave Kingman signed bat, and then I got some autographs. I used to write every celebrity in the world to just see who would send me something.
You did.
And I would just spend hours alone in my room in like 4th, 5th grade, just writing Merv Griffin and Mike Douglas letters. And I remember I got Paul Lynde's autograph, and then I just thought, I'm going to send him another letter, see if he does it again. And then suddenly I had like 5 Paul Lynde autographs. And people, you know, they'd auto pen you, or every once in a while you get a real one. Like I had like a really good Andy Kaufman autograph photo, and on the back he wrote a letter, which was so weird because he signed the front, and on the back he wrote, "Dear Judd, thank you so much for, you know, here's an autograph photo for you." Like it was completely unnecessary.
It must have been early in his career.
Yeah, Taxi days.
Yeah, because I remember at the beginning of the X-Files, they used to send me fan letters, and I would sit on the weekends and I would answer, because there weren't that many.
Yeah.
You know, there were 25 or 100.
Yeah.
And I'd sit there and I'd actually write them back. But what I think of when somebody is not hoarding, but like keeping those kinds of things. There's a great bit in a book, I think a James Joyce book, where he says Stephen Dedalus, such and such street, such and such city, the earth, the universe. It feels like you're trying to place yourself. You know, it feels like you're trying to weigh yourself down with some kind of ballast. You know, that's what I think. And as a kid, it's very moving to think of you that way.
Well, you can't die if you still have magazines to read.
Is that right?
So I still have a 1992 Bono interview in Rolling Stone I have to get to. So I don't think God will take me before then.
I'm sorry, I'm keeping you from that. But yeah, it's moving to me, and that's why I found the book to be emotional in some way. And I wanted to read this bit.
Okay.
It's probably the very end. It's farewell. I've worked on this book for a few years. It's emotional getting to the end of this process. I've always been a hoarder. That's where I got it from. And I have hoped that completing this project will allow me to finally throw out 100 boxes of stuff that I always thought essential in case I might do something like this one day. What do I think when I look through the book? First, I think, man, that is a lot of stuff. What the hell is wrong with you? How insecure and needy and broken are you that the only way to deal with it was to create this mountain of work? So it's work in a way, too. So you knew at some point you're going to have to get through it.
Yeah.
Was it a healthy expression of your creativity, or, as Garry used to say, Shandling, the essence of your soul? So is it evidence of a pathology, or is it evidence of a creativity, I think is what you're asking.
And I'm also talking about even just the projects, not just the book project, but all the projects. Is it just an expression of, you know, the deep hole you're trying to fill? Like how much work do you have to do to feel better about yourself? And how much of it is pure expression and creativity and light, and how much of it is like from like a trauma response of some sort?
Well, I mean, walking through the office, it's my first time here. I was struck by the amount of work that you've done, you know, and I wonder if you ever just take stock of it that way.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of shit, a lot. Not a lot of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Some shit.
You've done a lot of shit, Judd. But I'm struck by the energy that it takes to have done that, and the wide-ranging kind of interest from documentary to mentoring other people to do their work producing, and also your own work. So you question it as either coming from a pathology or an insecurity, or as coming from some kind of light creativity. And I wonder if you can ever really make that distinction. And can you make that distinction between work? So you go, like, later you go, oh, fuck, that was the wrong place that came from.
Yeah. I mean, I feel good about the fact that I always do things that I assume will come out well or have the potential to. Like, I don't really do anything like to sell out for a job or for money. And I'm not even sure why, but that's just always been my way, that if I'm not really passionate about it, I won't do it. But it is a lot of stuff, and it's almost comically too much stuff. It's comically too much stuff
that you've done.
Yeah, and there is no way to know about the motivations, because I do think it is. It's always both. There's always a pure motivation, and there's always a weird, insecure motivation, to just keep working. And, you have moments where you feel good about what you do and confident. But for the most part, the reason that you work hard is you have just enough doubt to make you continue to work really hard.
But isn't it also that you don't really know what that thing is that you're trying to make until you make it?
Yeah, it's so weird. So
you just have this itch, like, I'm going to do that thing. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe it's funny. Maybe I like that guy.
Yeah.
But then you find out it's a different cause, a different reason.
I mean, I remember Jim Carrey used to talk about that he felt like these projects would come into his life because he was needing to think about this thing. And someone else, said, you write the movie to figure out why you're writing the movie.
Yeah, right.
And there have been movies that I've made where, like, years after they're done, it occurs to me why I wanted to do it.
Right.
And a lot of them are like almost like letters to myself or letters to other people trying to explain something or work through something. And so at some point I realized, that must be what's happening. And Garry, Shandling was the first person that talked about any of this.
To you. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I started, I was just writing jokes. I didn't really think anything about story. But Garry talked about, like, mining his own neuroses and his own issues for stories, and I just never heard it. I mean, I knew that, I guess, on another level. Like, I'd watch Diner, and I knew it was personal, and things were Fast Times at Ridgemont High was based on Cameron Crowe going to high school and writing a book about it. But watching Garry do it, and go, Garry's conflicted about being famous. And he has this TV show about this person who really wants to be a big star, the most successful host. And this conflict of, is this healthy or not healthy, consumes Garry enough to make 6 years of a TV show about it.
And 5 years talking about it afterwards.
Exactly, and making DVDs and just going deeper
into that world,
Yeah. So for me, it took me a while to try to figure out, like, well, how would I do that, in my work, that it would become more personal. Because in the beginning, I just wrote for other people, and I would try to think like Garry, or I'd try to think like Roseanne. And it took a long time for me to go, okay, but what would I talk about?
What was that first step? What was that?
Probably, I mean, in a weird way, it happens in steps. Like, Heavyweights was like a silly summer camp for overweight, boys movie, but it was the beginning of talking about, like, feeling like a weird kid and wanting respect in some way. And then when I worked with Paul Feig on Freaks and Geeks, we all kind of mined all of our childhood traumas and would just put them into different episodes. Like watching Paul do it, because Paul was amazing, because he remembered every detail of childhood, every terrible thing that ever happened to him. He had total recall of it. And he would tell some story, and it would be so humiliating. And it was always the same afterwards. We would say, and how old were you when that happened? Like 13? And he would always go, 18. He was always much older than we thought in the story. And so, like, his courage to write about it, to see that up close, this was right after Larry Sanders, was also a big inspiration, because he really opened up. And then the staff started opening up about all their problems in high school.
And the kids too, the actors in it.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
right?
Yeah, everybody.
I guess it's a great feeling about that set. It seems like it was a great set to be on.
It was. It definitely was. I mean, because Paul was an actor, and so a lot of it was about treating everyone the way Paul wished people treated him.
Right.
So he was, a journeyman supporting actor who had a lot of experiences that were fun and not fun. Right. And so I think, like, we made a point of, like, treating everyone great.
Had you ever been interested in acting?
I never really pursued it. I joined, like, the school play, and then my grandfather died in the middle, and I had to go to California to, like, deal with it. So then I didn't do that.
He died in the middle of the actual play? Or?
No, in California he died while, we were, like, rehearsing this play. And then I was going to join the Groundlings.
You were?
But I was doing stand-up, and they said, well, you have to be here, for 3 months or 4 months to take the class. And I had been offered to go on the road at all the improvs around the country.
Right.
And I thought, well, I've been working for years to get the improv to let me do this. And so I didn't do that. And then at one point I had a commercial agent.
You did?
And so I went out for commercials, and I was such a bad actor that once I was going out for a Jack in the Box commercial, and I'm supposed to do this monologue about this cheeseburger, and I just kept pointing. I kept like pointing the whole time. And the guy's like, okay, do it again, don't point. And then halfway through, I couldn't help but point. Yeah. And then he took out a big thing of duct tape, and he taped my hand to my leg so that I wouldn't point. And then I never went out on an audition ever again. I laughed at the time, but I think I was like fully just humiliated. Like, you're the worst actor in the world.
That's a horrible experience.
It was a terrible experience.
Have you ever duct taped an actor's hand?
I have,
as a director?
it works for me.
I'm happy that you never duct taped me. Looking around at all your posters, I was like, "Fuck!" We didn't do enough. No, honestly, I had always wanted to. And then when we did The Bubble, because I did TV set where I portrayed you. I don't think people know. Yeah,
that you portrayed a version.
It's really
of me.
a biopic.
Yeah, it might have been like a little Mike White, a little Jake in there, but there was definitely a lot of Judd.
Mostly Judd. But the weird thing is that we did. You may not remember this, but we did the table read for the TV set, and that night was the premiere of the 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Oh wow!
So you actually that was a pivotal day in your life. So I went from basically playing Judd that nobody knows to you becoming adjectival, Apatovian, like almost overnight.
Yeah.
And I would have played it differently.
Yeah.
If I'd known you were going to get so.
Well, you had the bad back.
I had the bad back.
You had Justine Bateman as a
beard,
wife.
I had a beard. I had a bad back.
That movie was really good. People should
good.
hunt that down, the TV set.
Regular listeners of This Life of Mine will know that really on the show often we talk about great moments in people's lives, whether that's great memories or people that they love or songs or films. But and I know that life isn't always full of just great moments, and we all have times when everything just kind of piles up, whether that's work or family, friendships, relationships, whatever it might be, and you think, I think I might need to speak to somebody. I've had one of those stretches fairly recently, actually, and I'm away from home at the moment. I'm working in New York, and I tried to find a therapist online, and honestly, it was hopeless. Every therapist I found, they were either fully booked, or they were out of network, or they were charging prices which made me think, sorry, does this come with a yacht? And I remember thinking it really shouldn't be this hard. Affordable, accessible mental health care shouldn't be something that's out of reach, but too often it is. And look, if we use insurance for physical health, why shouldn't our mental health get the same treatment? And that's exactly why I love what Ruler is doing. Here's the deal with Ruler. Most online therapy platforms don't work with insurance at all, which means you'll be stuck paying out of pocket or signing up for some incredibly expensive monthly subscription. But Ruler does it differently. They partner with over 100 insurance plans, which means the average copay is just $15 a session. And Ruler doesn't just match you with the first available therapist. They actually take the time to understand your goals, and then they will give you a curated list of therapists who are in network and genuinely aligned with what it is that you need. So if you go to ruler.com/lifeofmine, you can get started today. That's RULA.com/lifeofmine for quality therapy that is covered by insurance. There are no wait lists, no endless emails. Ruler helps you find someone who is available as soon as tomorrow, because finding the right therapist, well, that could be life-changing. Thousands of people are already using Ruler to get affordable, high-quality therapy that is actually covered by insurance. So if you visit ruler.com/lifeofmine, you can get started straight away. And after you sign up, they're going to ask you how you heard about them. And it would be great if you could support our show and let them know that we sent you. That's rula.com/lifeofmine. You deserve mental health care that works with you, not against your budget.
You know, you mentioned Garry, and he's a big influence in both of our lives, obviously. And there's something about the man that is sustaining even to this day, you know. And he was a Buddhist, I guess you'd call him. And I wonder how you both square. You know, I don't associate Buddhism with hilarity, you know. And I wonder if there was ever a fear for you as I'm going down this road with Garry, you know, into Buddhism. And I don't know what the extent of your involvement with Buddhism is, or meditation or anything like that. But I wonder if there was that sense of, oh, if I get clear on this, if I start feeling good, am I going to be funny anymore?
Yeah.
Am I gonna be able to do my shit?
I never really thought about that because I always feel so far away from that level of calm.
Yeah.
That it's just so far away that even if I can get like a moment of calm, it's a big deal. But the baseline.
So you're saying Buddhism doesn't work? Is basically what you're saying.
Not the way I'm running it. Like I have like an app. I'll get every single app for meditation.
Right.
I'll have the Calm app and the 10% Happier app and the Wake It Up app. I mean, I have so many of them. And I went on one of the apps, and it like you could hit a button, it'll tell you like all the times you've used it to meditate. Right. And it was literally like 3 times in the last 6 years on this one app. I'm like, I'm really not walking the walk.
I've kind of been delinquent recently because I'll save my meditation for when I'm lying down to go to sleep. Yeah. It's actually my sleep app. It's
You're
not
supposed
my
to be
meditation.
straight up and focused. No. But I do have that fear of not being funny, because I think the thing about not being funny is when you become unfunny, you don't know it.
Really?
And that to me, like when you think of like the scariest thoughts you can have, that's like a really scary thought.
What would cause you to be unfunny? Would culture changed or something like that? Do you see funny as being tied to any kind of decade or cultural moment?
Well, you could look at it as like a youthful thing, or like the perspective of like what's it like to be 20 right now versus 57, and maybe you're just not picking up on some sort of sea change of culture.
Well, sure, but do you want to write what's funny for 20-year-olds, or do you want to write what's funny for 57-year-olds at this point in your life?
I guess I try not to think about it too much, because I still want to work with, people who are much younger than me.
Sorry for the question.
In stand-up, I've been doing this joke where I say, this is a worse age to be a comedian because you can only talk about decay. So all your jokes are like, don't you hate it when your girlfriends from high school start dying of natural causes? Like it's like the most unfun age to write about. So you want to still have younger people to collaborate with.
Yeah. But in terms of like your soul questions, the kind of impulses that you mentioned drive you to certain things. I would think that changes. I mean, I understand wanting an audience, but I also think like your concerns change, and your self-conception changes, and what your soul needs in the work changes. So there's got to be some kind of a give and take there.
Well, no matter what happens, you slowly start writing like old Bob Dylan. Like you don't want to, but before you know it, everything you're thinking about is like, I'm walking through streets that are dead. Like you just start, you're heading into like your old guy writing. You have to kind of like push against it. I always laugh about Loudon Wainwright, who he was on Undeclared and he scored Knocked Up, and genius folk singer. But he's been writing songs about dying since he was like 45 years old. Yeah, it's like it's been so long he's been in that period of obsessing on mortality. So you do want to not just feel like, okay, I wrote about high school, I wrote about college, I wrote about young marriage, I wrote about longer marriage, that you can go back and visit different periods.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can see it in like musicians when they kind of mature their work. Like the Stones they're always going to write about making out in a car, and they're 85.
Yeah.
But somebody like Springsteen, and I think the people that you gravitate towards musically, which is a big part of your life, I think you don't ask them to stay in the same spot.
Yeah, like that.
You like when they're changing.
I love that Springsteen wrote about, his first band, and that everyone in his first band had died. He realized he was the last man standing, and he wrote an album about that. Like,
so that was his joke. Doesn't it suck when your bandmates start dying of natural causes?
Exactly. See, we can't help but do it. Although I remember Norman Lear used to always say to me, I feel like I'm the age of the person I'm with. And I always thought that was a great way to look at it.
Yeah. Delusional, but great.
Exactly. Yeah. It kept his spirit hot.
Yeah. I want to finish this quote, though.
Oh, okay.
Where is it? Where was I?
You were...
Or was it a desperate cry for help from a person that never feels whole, whose pain and trauma never eases, and who needs to numb himself with busyness and accomplishment? Well, I think we covered that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it is all of that. And does the answer to that question really matter? I never felt like I had another choice. I still don't. Because underneath all the healthy and unhealthy reasons for working and expressing myself is a love for comedy and the people who make it. I feel blessed that I got to create and have fun with so many amazing people, and I hope that continues going forward, at least in a slightly less neurotic way. What would that mean, a slightly less neurotic way?
Well, I'm always interested, can I access my creativity without all the stages of, oh, here we go. We gotta write now, right? So it might take me a while to sit down to write, because there's that part of your brain that's like, what if it's not there today? What if it never comes back? To have less of that kind of anxiety and neuroses around it, where you could just kind of plug in and just kind of get there and not really think about the stakes, because the stakes are all in your head, and it's all kind of probably just some misfiring.
What are the stakes?
I mean, the stakes are...
People aren't going to laugh.
Yeah, I mean, the stakes are whatever. It doesn't work. People don't like it. Public humiliation. You cost someone a lot of money that invested in you. Maybe they won't let you make the next one at some point. But I always had that theory that you need 3 really bad bombs in a row to be kicked out of the business. You need the first bomb, then they give you another one. And then if that bombs, they might give you another one with a lower budget.
3 in a row?
Yeah, 3 in a row? I think you need 3 big ones in a row, and then you're probably done. Although every once in a while someone has a movie that's bad in such a weird way that people lose complete faith in that person, and they sometimes
just
don't
one.
work.
They just got one.
Just one, but it's so weird that they don't believe you'll ever get back on the track.
Right.
So I don't have an example of a person that had that, but I have seen that.
Because they've been forgotten.
Yeah, they're
gone.
They're Geely or whatever it is. And then people go how did he ever even think that could work? But you have to do things that are risky, or you're doing the same thing every time. So that's a weird thing with all comedy is nothing about working has a better chance of succeeding because the last one succeeded. Each one is such.
Again?
Each thing you do is such an experiment that the last one working has absolutely nothing to do in helping you make this one work.
Success is some kind of an illusion. I mean, to get back to what we talk about on this podcast all the time is success is the worst thing that can happen to you in many ways.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of just being
creativity,
loose, you have to make a real conscious choice to be like Neil Young and go, I don't give a shit. Again. I'm going to go, I'm doing electronic right now, or I'm not going to let you define me. I'm going to keep going where my imagination takes me.
Have you ever felt yourself at that point? Have you ever done something in that vein?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think I'm really careful about, all right, do you really want to think about this for 2-3 years? Because every time you do it, it's a multi-year commitment. Right. So I usually, if anything, I'm not doing things because I'm afraid it's going to be like something that I've done before or too easy. Not easy and just like a premise I think might work. It has to be like something deeper wants to be talked about. Even the bubble, which is like silly, but during COVID, me and my friend Brent Foster, we would take walks in Malibu, and we were like, let's just outline movies just for the hell of it because we're bored.
Really?
And it kept coming up, this like the nervous breakdown everyone was going to have from COVID about their success and their egos, and what do you do when like all the things that make you feel like you have value are just gone and no one cares at all about them. And
Right.
so even that, which was like a silly movie meant to be watched like when you're just high or something, that was like the thing below it. Like, oh, everyone's ego is being messed with because they're just like stuck in this building.
Yeah. Do you have a kind of personal criteria about success and failure? Is it just your gut? I'm watching this movie and I'm laughing at it, this movie that I made?
Well, I remember a long time ago, I read an interview with Alec Baldwin, and he was saying, you have to have your own personal compass on whether or not a project was successful. And that was the first time I ever really heard someone explain it in that way. And once I remember Warren Beatty was with Shandling, and he said to me, you really don't know if what you've done is good for about 10 years after, where you see if it survived in the culture and did anyone care about it and just how is it holding up. And that's really revealed itself to be true, where there were things in the moment where we would take a beating, like The Cable Guy or something, and then suddenly it would be, 30 years later, and like people are still talking about it, and you realize like people really like it. But those few reviewers or the box office that devastated you, where you really took a year to recover from it, was just wrong. That we did pull that off, at least for a certain amount of people who appreciated it. And that's happened a bunch of times where something like the movie Walk Hard, or like parody of Ray and Walk the Line, where it made like 2.9 million opening weekend. And
really?
So it was like, you didn't even know that was possible.
Right.
And then,
I know that's possible.
and then suddenly it's like 10, 15 years later, and like, people watch that all the time. People are always walking up to me. They still write articles about it. And so now, as a result of that, I don't get as affected when things come out, because I understand they have a weird life where they kind of bop around the world and they develop some kind of reputation or not.
Well, it happened with Zoolander for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just didn't do well when it came out. No.
That was a few weeks after 9/11.
Yeah.
It was not
tough spot.
It was like weird for a comedy to come out.
Yeah.
Even that there was a comedy, and it was like, can you are we ready to like laugh at all at anything?
Apparently not.
Well, your scene's held up. You had the hand, the whole thing.
The serious scenes.
Yeah, but like people talk about Zoolander now as part of the canon of great things.
They do.
And
the canon of great things.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
I like that. Should be your next book.
Yeah.
The canon of great things.
And you see that now, like you'd look at whatever the last, 30, 40 years where we've been doing things like, here are the ones that people care about.
Right.
And it doesn't even matter if Zoolander opened. It's like people watch it now like it was made this week and love it, and it holds up. And I always say, like, they become like the Wizard of Oz.
Right.
They're just these things that, like, those are the survivors.
Has any criticism ever cut you in a way that was long-standing to you? Or did you ever learn anything from a perceived failure or a perceived criticism?
I was so mad at Siskel and Ebert for not liking Heavyweights.
You were?
My first like bad reviews where you're like, oh God. And then the Cable Guy reviews, I really thought they would be raves, because I thought, they're going to be so psyched. Jim's doing something different, taking a risk. And then as I was like getting in the car to go to the premiere, someone handed me 2 faxes.
Yeah, who's that person?
With the Time and Newsweek reviews. And they were both brutal. I'm like, What?
Yeah.
Like I thought it was going to be like amazing.
Where were you
reviews.
going?
To the premiere. Oh. And then I was just like in a fog the whole premiere, like, oh no, this is all going to go really badly.
Totally bifurcated.
Yeah. And every once in a while someone writes something in a review that just like, they just find the thing that hurts you the most.
Yeah.
When we did This Is 40, I remember there was a review in like one of the trades, and they were just mad that they lived in a nice house. And I was like, we'll do like a Nancy Meyers house. People love when people have like kind of like a pretty house, and it's like the problems of a couple and a family. Yeah. And they were just so offended. It was the beginning of like white people problems. Yeah. Of like entitlement. Like we don't like they're not allowed to have problems.
You were in the vanguard.
I was the first person to deal with that.
You were exposing it.
And I was like shocked by it, because I never really even considered it like, if you live in that house,
because you have white people problems,
you shouldn't care about the people in that house.
Yeah.
And I was just really thrown by it. Like, well, what do I do? Because I kind of live in a house like that. So can I not write about like what happens to me? Yeah.
I remember I got this review for Playing God, which was one of the first movies I did after the X-Files, where it said that I was like the tofu of actors, and that
what's that mean?
I could fill up space.
But tofu is really good for you. See, that's all interpretation.
No,
that's what you put in, so you don't have the meat.
Was like I could fill up space, but I needed like the flavorings of other vegetables and spices.
Can't have it
to
alone.
be any good. I was just bland all on my own, and obviously that stays with me in some weird way. And
yeah, they all do.
They do, and you, I don't know if you remember any of the good ones. I mean, I don't believe them anyway.
Every time there's been like a good thing, like I remember there was like an article in like Time magazine. It was like the best. It was like I wrote it about myself, and I remember afterwards. It was really long. It was like 6 pages in Time magazine. And
was it on you or was it on a movie?
It was just about me.
Yeah.
And
you weren't involved in the making of the article?
No, I did an interview for it, and I think I was supposed to be on the cover. And at the last second, they switched it to Obamacare. And so there's a picture of Obama like dressed as a doctor.
White people probably.
Yeah. And and then the article came out, and I was like, oh, this is great. I have never met one person who's ever read that article.
Right.
And then I realized like, oh, no one reads almost any of this, or all the things that like you're so bothered by.
Right.
Except like back in the day, if you got just filleted by the New York Times, people were like, hey, sorry, man. like that was like really, really rough when they would go hard at you.
Oh, I remember the newspaper hitting the door, because often I'd be like somewhere else in a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, there's the Times. Just hit the door. Do I get out of bed?
Oh, going down to the newsstand to see what it was. Now no one cares about any of it. No one. It's not the same thing.
Not only that, but you can go online and really get filleted in ways that are pretty interesting and powerful.
You could have a 14-year-old destroy you on Letterboxd. You'll never recover the rest of your life. And we talk about this. Like I talk about it with my kids. Like, how do you do your creative work?
Right.
Be bold and take chances.
Keep your own counsel.
And even in the best of times, there's a 20, 30% that's going to hate all of it.
Right.
Even if you completely nailed it, certain people just don't like it. Just like, ever have like something win the Oscar for Best Picture and you just go, I hate that movie. Right. So there's always people who hate everything.
Right.
And so you have to develop these weird blinders where you let in some stuff. You kind of want to learn some stuff. But if you want to dip in and destroy yourself, it's there.
Yeah.
Like it took me 5 minutes to find something that'll keep me in bed for a month if I would let it.
What would you type in for like the most pain? Apatow, suck.
Apatow, Jewish schlub.
No, that's not going to go for the movies. That's not what you really care about.
I mean, it could be anything. And you sometimes you stumble into it like you're looking at something else.
Oh shit!
And like your name is brought. Like, why are you talking about me?
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
Yeah. Why did Duchovny stop acting? What? It's like third on the list. It's like, how the fuck did that get there?
I went on YouTube once and it was like a video. It was like, why the Judd Apatow era ended. Like, someone made a documentary about it. Right. I was too scared to click on it.
They didn't ask you to be in the doc?
Exactly. Where did it all go wrong? The movie with like an AI Judd face.
Since you're not on set acting, I'm wondering about the consciousness of the writer, because it took me, and even sometimes still, that voice will get into my head when I'm on set.
Yeah.
Tofu.
Yeah.
Tofu.
Yeah. Not
really. I haven't thought of it till just this moment. So I don't think of it that often, but I wonder, and it's not a good thing. It's not like, hey, Michael Jordan, I'm going to take that fucking.
I need the anger to play well.
Yeah, no, I don't. No. I shrivel. So I wonder, like as a writer, which obviously the moment is extended. You don't have to deliver like when they say action. But I wonder, do you ever get inhibited that way for any period of time by perceived negativity or remembered negativity or failures and things like that?
I mean, you could just get a general like, why do I think I know anything? Like almost just like a blanket over your whole thing of like, do I know what's good?
But so much of your life is acting like you know a lot.
Yeah, you have to, but you also know that you're just
your
winging
life.
it.
I'm just saying your life.
Yeah. You're pretending that you know what you're doing because you've had that in your career, right? Where you've told a studio or someone like, this is going to be big and it's going to work because of this. Yeah. And then like you're in a preview and everything you said for the last 2 years has been proven wrong in 90 minutes.
Right.
And then you just feel ridiculous. And the good executives go, yeah, because in movies, if somebody has 1 hit out of 3, it's like a baseball player. Like they're doing great.
Right.
I mean, most people look at Scorsese's movies, like how many of them work, how many of them don't. Like you can't succeed every time, but you have to believe in yourself every time to have any shot.
It's hard work to make a bad movie. It's hard work.
Yeah.
It's just as hard to make a bad one as a good one.
Yeah.
But one thing about you that I respect is that I don't know this for a fact, but I think I know this about you, is that when you're at that point, at that screening, when this sucks, you don't give up on it. You'll go and reshoot, and
I'll grind hard.
Well, you'll adjust.
Yeah.
And me, sometimes I think I'll just curl up and say, fuck it, I hate all of you anyway. You know, it's like I'm done. I tried, whatever. But that's commendable, I think, for you. To be that kind of a person that would just go, that keeps grinding at it.
Yeah.
And it also it shows that you believed in that original vision or whatever, or you're smart enough to pivot. I don't know which it is.
Well, I'm just so terrified of at the end of it going, oh, that wasn't good. Like I can't even tolerate it. So like my worst fear is I'm just going down DirecTV, scrolling, like we did in the old days before streaming. And I'll just see one of my movies and be really ashamed that anyone's watching it. Really? Like that's the worst feeling in the world. Like, oh no, that thing's still around. I never want that to happen. I mean, when I shoot, as you know, like I shoot so much footage. Yeah. And so I usually don't do reshoots because I've literally shot what I think the reshoot would be while I'm shooting the movie.
I mean, it's not just, I worked with Ivan Reitman and he sat cover like a tent. Yeah. That was his line. So, but that's not you. You're not covering like a tent, but you're shooting a lot of footage because that footage is often different. Yeah. Because you're auditioning lines, you're throwing shit out, you're improvising. So it's not that you're shooting from all different sides. Yeah. And because you don't know how you're going to cut it. Yeah. But you don't know what's going to be in it. Yeah. So I imagine when you have a screening that doesn't go well, you've got like 5 more jokes that you know that you had on that day that you're going to come back to. Yeah. Then in editing, if one joke doesn't work, there is something to try. Because my fear is I'm going to find out my joke didn't work, and then I'll go, is there another joke in the footage to try? And they'll go, no. And then you're just writing jokes in the back of people's heads. I don't think that's true, though. Yeah. I don't think you've ever gotten to there, have you? Sometimes you get to a place where you have to do an ADR joke, like just audio on the back of someone's head. ADR jokes, I don't think they do work. They do. Really? Yeah. Wow. They do work. Watch Bottle Rocket. There's a lot of great ADR jokes that Wes Anderson and Owen wrote. Yeah. That you notice it if you really watch it, like, oh, they really grinded some funny lines. If you know what ADR is, yeah. Yeah. But it's an interesting way that you work, because obviously you work hard. You're 7 months out. You just told me when we sat down. You're punching up a script. Yeah. But when you get there, how many times are you going to go through that script before you go to new lines? And I'll rehearse it and riff. How many times do you think? I mean, just a gazillion. And a lot of times, like on the day, the whole thing gets tossed. You just think of something better on the day. So you're kind of preparing a script and you're trying to make it perfect. Yeah. But then on the day, you're willing to like shoot it once or twice and go, all right, now that we're here, it feels completely different than what was in my head. But I always feel like the actors are going to do something that I would never think of, the way they speak, the way they're reacting to each other. And that I learned from Garry, because I would watch the rehearsals. Garry would rehearse for 3 days and then shoot Larry Sanders Show in 2 days. And he kept rehearsed for 3 days? Yeah. And he would keep he would do a table. Yeah, sometimes a table read on Monday. And then he would let the rehearsals be loose. And that's where, if anyone wanted to change anything, they could experiment. And I just thought, that's where like he's letting some magic happen. And then he had to lock it back down. But I thought, I could just shoot what's basically the rehearsals and see what people will do. Right. And you found that out early? Or you just found that out by watching Garry?
I found that out. I'm trying to think. The first time I saw someone do it was Stiller on the Ben Stiller show when we would do sketches, and I remember Ben was playing Tony Robbins, and he just talked like Tony Robbins for like 45 minutes, and like we needed like a 3-minute sketch, and he just was laughing, and we were throwing him lines, and he was just improvising, and he would do that in every situation.
Right.
He just knew because he had edited some short films, and he had his MTV show before our show, and he just knew, oh, it's all for the editing room.
Let's just talk about documentaries for a minute. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
I've got nothing to do.
Okay, so we'll keep going. We talked a little bit before when you asked me how the podcast is going, and I said, well, I thought I was interested in people, but it turns out I'm not that interested in people because it's. And one of the things I've found is, like, I want to ask stupid questions because I'm tired of asking smart questions because smart questions have an answer implicit in them.
Yeah. You want to shake it up to get to a new thing.
And I'm wondering, because you've done documentaries and you've done podcasts, but mostly the documentaries, you have an idea of what your documentary is about. Maybe, or you're making the documentary to find out what it's about. How do you go about figuring out the kind of questioner you want to be? Because you're on that side, the other guy's on camera, and you're directing him with your questions, but you also don't want to direct too hard because you want to get the truth.
Well, it's I mean, it's very instinctual. I'm finishing up a documentary that I'm directing with Michael Bonfiglio, who did the George Carlin documentary with me, and so I had to do 10 hours with Mel Brooks, and so I thought, I've seen a lot of documentaries with him, but the thing that I haven't seen too much is him talking about his emotional life. So I've seen like a lot of the funny stories and all that classic stuff, but how can I get him to just tell me how it felt? Like, what did it feel like to fight in World War II? How did it feel to be on your show of shows and be the young guy in that staff of all these geniuses? And so I had like an intention with him, like how much can we see Mel Brooks' heart, and as a way of showing him be reflective.
Did you tell him that?
I don't think that I did that explicitly,
right?
But I think I did tell him I wanted to tell his story and to have it be a more personal documentary. But I felt like, he's 99 now. He has a lot of wisdom. I mean, he's lived through so many different eras. He's had to deal with, the loss of his wife and, Anne Bancroft and Carl Reiner, and that there's a lot to learn from his experience. And so I approached it like I'm basically a copycat of Mel Brooks. And so the documentary is me asking him things.
You feel
I want to know.
You feel like you're a copycat of Mel Brooks.
Of course, because when I was a kid, it was just Mel Brooks and Woody Allen and Blake Edwards, or like a few people that made comedies. And you would see Mel Brooks, and it was just like kind of like this odd little genius who was crazy confident.
Yeah, he was.
And I think I have got Stiller and Sandler in the movie. Like we all looked at him like, oh, could you do that? Is that a job? Like, it seemed like the coolest, most amazing, hilarious guy in the world.
Yeah. And
so, but now as me being older and him being older, to go, oh, tell me about your ride. What was it like?
Do you feel like this is part of you coming out as well? Are you reaching for more? Not that your movies aren't emotional, but are you finding yourself responding to that more as you get older?
I think so. That's why I like documentaries, because I like that there's just a lot there with any human experience. If you go deep with anybody, it's so rich and emotional, and it's like it's almost too powerful to talk about. Like what was this life that this person had? Like, how do you sum up Garry Shandling's life? Like his joys, his creativity, his struggles, his pain, and to try to figure out, can you get it across that it's in the universe of accurate to something, and to feel him. Like I like the Garry Shandling documentary, Zen Diaries of Garry Shandling, on HBO Max, because I think at the end you did get to know Garry, and you do get to feel Garry. And,
well, I agree.
And so that part is, it's moving. And I like the idea of Garry being known. I hate the idea that like Gary's gone, and is he just going to be forgotten? And he was so special and so fascinating. And so now there's like a way for people to access it in some way.
Were you surprised by anything in the making of that documentary about Garry?
I mean, I was very surprised that Garry had no photographs in his house that were personal. He didn't have pictures of his family, of his brother, of his childhood, of his career. He just kind of had nothing out. He had a lot of, Buddhist statues and things like that. And then, I opened up a closet and like he had saved everything. And how interesting that is.
The closet again for you.
Yeah, that he's in the closet and he has everything in there. And that he was sentimental in some way because he kept it all. And there was a real story in those photos. There were videos from his childhood, and that there was this really sad story about like a kid whose brother was very sick with cystic fibrosis and he died, and then no one would talk about him, and Garry was not able to process that loss, and that it just seemed to affect his relationships throughout his life. And then at the very end of the doc, I found this letter he had written to his brother near the end of Garry's life. I don't know if a therapist told him to do it, to process it, and it really was everything that I thought it was. So like my guess of what had affected him so much, Garry had fully written out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That the loss was so profound for him, and that this was like his best friend in the world, and that he never like fully recovered from it.
Yes, I remember that in the doc. Yeah. Where he didn't go to the funeral, right? He wasn't allowed to go.
Yeah.
They didn't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
They didn't acknowledge the loss.
Yeah, they didn't bring him to the funeral because his mom didn't want Garry to see her cry. And then they just didn't talk about him. And it's funny because like Garry never talked about it. I mean, maybe like once in all the time I knew him.
Yeah. I'm going to finish up by reading the end of this letter.
Okay. They better close strong if you want to close her.
You feel blessed. Life is so wonderful, but also so mysterious, dark, and strange. We all need a language to try to understand and get through it. This is mine. This being filmmaking or comedy?
Comedy, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Last year I took ayahuasca.
We all have at this point.
And at the end of a long trip, I saw an image of Jesus on the cross, which was strange since I am Jewish. Instantly, I understood what it meant. We were all supposed to be there for each other. Love, brotherhood, sacrifice. It's as simple as that. I'm not converting, but I did feel the need to buy the New Testament. Did you?
Well, I got it on Audible. Johnny Cash
was reading it. Johnny Cash reads it. I haven't listened yet. No, you haven't listened yet. I've got to finish this book first.
It's so boring. I mean, it's just so boring. But I'm going to try. But man, is the Old Testament boring.
The Old Testament's pretty violent. The New Testament's a little boring.
I know. I guess
because the same story 4 times.
See, I still don't even know the difference between the two. but I will get to it. I'm going to get to it. Or at least I'll have ChatGPT explain it to me. But
I think it's admirable, your sincerity there, even though you're joking at the end, But I feel you reaching for a sincerity, and I feel you reaching for it, more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And I look forward to seeing more of how you stitch that together with being so fucking funny as well. All right, man. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
And
that was fun.
That's all I got.
Yeah, that's all you needed to give.
That's a Nealon thing. That's all I got. That's all I got.
You gave all you had.
Thanks, guys. Just a memo about sitting down with Judd Apatow. I didn't bring up what I'd wanted to bring up is he told me that, or no, he didn't tell me, but in his book, he had written early on, I think in his early 20s, he wrote a script for The Simpsons. And they repurposed it, or they rewrote it recently, or within the last 5 or 10 years. And Judd speaks about it as it's like a dream come true, his childhood dream or early career dream of writing a Simpsons episode comes true 30 years later. It is quite amazing. and talk about stairway thoughts, the French word for pensée d'escalier, escalator thoughts. I wish that I'd brought it up, but I didn't bring it up. Thanks so much for listening to Fail Better. If you haven't subscribed to Lemonada Premium yet, now's the perfect time because guess what? You can listen completely ad-free. Plus, you'll unlock exclusive bonus content like the full version of my post-interview thoughts that you won't hear anywhere else. That's more of my recaps on interviews with guests like Chris Carter and Emily Deschanel. Just tap that subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or head to lemonadapremium.com to subscribe on any other app. That's lemonadapremium.com. Don't miss out. Fail Better is a production of Lemonada Media in coordination with King Baby. It is produced by Keegan Zema, Aria Bracci, and Donnie Matias. Our engineer is Brian Castillo. Our SVP of Weekly is Steve Nelson. Special thanks to Carl Ackerman, Tom Krupinski, and Brad Davidson. The show is executive produced by Stephanie Whittles-Wax, Jessica Cordova-Kramer, and me, David Duchovny. The music is also by me and my band, the lovely Colin Lee, Pat McCusker, Mitch Stewart, Davis Rowan, and Sebastian Modak. You can find us online at Lemonada Media, and you can find me at David Duchovny. Follow Fail Better wherever you get your podcasts, or listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership.